7. Whoa. So friends, day 7. Holy moly, 1 week down. Well, it will be after this. A big thank you to everyone who's been listening so far. I see that we're getting new subscribers every day, which is just so exciting. And if you are one of those new subscribers, welcome to you. Great to have you here. Thank you for joining me with this conversation. So before we dive into today's topic, I just wanted to acknowledge that a lot of the topics that I'm focused on at the moment, a lot of them are coming with a bit of a warning. And, obviously I talk constantly about the need to treat cannabis with care and respect. And there's a very good reason for that, obviously. I'm talking about a lot of the things that I wish I had known when I was exploring it for the first time. Now, all of this to say, cannabis is a good thing to exist in this world. And gosh, are we lucky that it does. And it's probably obvious why I talk about the serious side of it, because I want people to find a really good, healthy relationship with cannabis. And so long as we're aware of these pitfalls and stumbling blocks, we can largely avoid them. It minimizes any risk considerably. So with that said, let's dive in. What are we talking about today? We are talking about the tipping point. Dun, dun, dun. The tipping point, my gosh. So I dare say I don't need to explain what that means. I think we all kind of instinctively get it. But the tipping point between what and what? Well, in a zoomed out way, when the experience goes from good to bad, the effect it has on our lives goes from healthy to unhealthy, the experience drifts from safe to unsafe, and our mindset drifts from happy to something else. We all get this, right? The tipping point when we've had a few too many drinks. Most of us know that tipping point, I dare say. And of course, there are so many different tipping points to actually explore in the realm of cannabis use. Maybe it's the tipping point, like if we're zoomed in on a single session or a single experience, the tipping point from creativity to not. This is one I've experienced on numerous occasions myself. And even though that's somewhat frustrating, that's largely quite laughable and we kind of just move on. An alternate example could be the tipping point of like daily functionality. Like sometimes if I've ingested that a little bit too much, it tips over into like, oh, I've now forgotten where my keys are. Did I leave my phone in the other room? Have I prepared everything? Where are my keys again? And it just circles around into this like unproductive mess. And then of course, as we zoom out further, maybe it's a tipping point of how cannabis is affecting our lives. There's a quote that I've actually shared in the book by the writer, counterculture icon, Richard Neville. And he says, is marijuana addictive? Yes, in the sense that most of the really pleasant things in life are worth endlessly repeating. I've always liked this quote, but one also senses like the hidden kind of warning in it. It's like, yes, the experience of cannabis can be very rewarding and very fun and very fulfilling and very meaningful and, can lead to so much wonder, so much joy, so much creativity and productivity. It can do so much. And because of this, it can be very easy to kind of continually go down this path and continually go a little deeper, because it is so fun. And that itself can become a tipping point into, oh, okay, is this now becoming a controlling influence on my life? And then, of course, there is the tipping point of going from a fun, joyful experience to an anxiety-producing experience, a scary experience. And this is, of course, the primary reason why I talk so much about mindful, responsible adult use, is that these tipping points can sneak up on us. It might be like just a little bit more, what happens? It can accidentally happen, of course, like we accidentally take too much, or we might overestimate our tolerance based on previous experiences. Every strain has different amounts of these psychoactive compounds. And of course, depending on the intensity of that tipping point and how far we've gone and what the circumstances are that we're in, it can tip over into some very challenging places, to put it lightly. And this is what happened to me. It tipped over from a very, very positive experience to suddenly a very, very challenging experience. And it was an experience that I didn't actually know was possible to have. And it seems kind of naive to say, in my mind, I believed there was no limit to how high I could go and how good the effects could be. I was just completely disregarding of the potential of any tipping point. It was like, I'm fine, I've got this. And then, of course, I discovered it. Now, again, for anyone who's watching or listening to this, simply being aware that the tipping point exists and to be mindful of it on both a zoomed in and zoomed out level, this in itself will ultimately help avoid the experience of going too far. But it can and does happen. For anyone who's curious or recently new to cannabis, as always, I really encourage start low, go slow, don't be in a rush. And if you do find yourself in that place, like having a few things, grounding techniques like breath work. When it happened for me, I found jumping in the shower to be a very helpful thing. The most important thing is to remember that it will pass. The roller coaster will come to an end. Be mindful also of the long-term tipping points, like long-term cannabis use. What is the tipping point for that to affect our lives in a positive or negative way? And again, this is why I take at least one day every week to be completely cannabis free. To have that consistent grounding to ensure that it's me controlling my use and not the cannabis controlling me. And remember, the tipping point might not be a single moment. It could be a gradual process that happens over days or weeks or years. A final thought. I use the word respect a lot in this conversation. Respecting ourselves, obviously, respecting the power of this plant, and keeping this constant theme of respect close whenever we're experiencing cannabis. And very often it's our ego that gets involved. And this is how it was for me. At the time, I kind of believed that it couldn't hurt me. I kind of believed I was invincible with cannabis. And I very quickly discovered that I wasn't. And I'm going to talk about that. I've got a story to tell. There is so much good to be found. But stay mindful and stay balanced and notice when things are drifting towards that tipping point. That's all for today, friends. Thank you for joining me once again. Looking forward to seeing you for our next episode. If you haven't already, check out the book at drenchedinwonder.com. It's currently live on Kickstarter, but it won't be forever. Now's the chance to jump in and get one of the first copies. Be safe, be smart. I'll see you soon.